This is something that Christy said one time. It really stuck with everyone here. It's what happens if we invest people and they leave us, right? Like you put time into someone and go, oh, damn, they're gone. But the inverse is, what if you don't train them and they stay?
I've seen that quote.
Yeah. If you don't train them and they leave, that might be better than if they did stay.
Yeah, it's just a requirement to build a team. You just got to get used to it. And over the years, I had lots of people leave. I think I've got like 45 people at an entire Sky, group these days. What, did it go perfectly? No, of course it didn't go perfectly, but when I was being mentored by Ed and I'd get disheartened and someone had quit, might be a client manager to leave or an accountant or someone to leave, Ed would just say, well, get back on the horse, try again. It's because it's not perfection, it's progress. Have another go, try again. What can you learn? If someone leaves the firm or the business, do an exit interview if you get time. Do an exit interview. Say, what could have we done better? Is always be willing to learn. Every time there's a problem that you've got, guys, always be willing to learn, because next time you won't do that. There'll be always the 1%er that you're after every time.
Yeah, I wanted to ask another question that a lot of us have been thinking of is, like, how long does it take to find if a person is suitable? Like, okay, 6 months probation is a contractual thing, so we've got the space for it. But should we be able to tell if a person's going to work or not in a week or two? Like, it shouldn't take too long to figure out if someone is not the right fit. So how long should it take, and what are we looking for in someone who's just not working out? Otherwise, we end up in that, oh crap, I don't want to go for all that hiring again. Want to sunk cost fallacy and just accept it. Like,
yeah, 3 to 6 months. Yeah, 3 to 6 months. Ed would always say, you'll find out what someone's like in the first 3 to 6 months, what they're like. But coming back to the hiring process, I love the saying that we have, Dani and Chris, it's act fast, hire slow. Because when you're dealing with these candidates, and this is the biggest error that I've seen myself, but also whether you're a senior client manager or a firm owner, is slow to respond to candidates' communication. You cannot be slow to respond. Like when we say slow, if you're not answering the email to the candidate within the day, you're slow, because they'll be talking to 5 other firms.
Yeah.
Even I'm guilty at this. Dani, aren't I? So the point is, act fast, hire slow. Act fast. The hire slow process is following the process. Don't skip a process. Don't skip a step, because then you're maximizing, what we call a mishire, and that just wastes everyone's time, money, and effort to mishire. Yeah, I just wanted to say that too.
100%. No, that's definitely part of it. Acting fast. That's something we all struggle with, being in our own firms and then not finding the time to act fast, not knowing if I need to be acting at all, and going, crap, that person's been doing nothing for 3 months. Where was the oversight?
I think the other thing is too, like coming back to what Dani and Chris does with WizeTalent, what you formulated is, make sure your decision to hire, right, is based on the candidate scorecard. Do you want to touch on the candidate scorecard and the importance of that? Because there's those 3 areas you might recall, Dani, but if someone's really high in skills and experience and high in engine responsiveness, but they're low on integrity and honesty, like the candidate scorecard's just that non-biased fact-checking system, isn't it?
Yeah, it takes the emotion out of things, because someone could interview so well, but if they don't have the skills or what we're looking for, basically, then this scorecard will be able to determine. And it's also good because with the testing stage, you don't want to be testing every single candidate that comes through. So this scorecard will be able to determine whoever's got the highest score, that's the person to put through to the next stage.
Because in the interview, I think, because we're human, it's like, oh, geez, it's like, I really like that person. Or the other thing, it might be like, oh, I didn't like that person, right? And I don't know how many times Ed Chan told me, he said, James, don't judge a book by its cover. I think I was a people person. I'd just like everyone, oh, you're hired. And then other people are like, no good, when they're probably like, they mightn't talk much. They mightn't say anything in the interview because they're nervous, but you find out because of the testing that they're absolutely fantastic, just because you don't like their mannerisms or whatever.
They might just be a minder grinder. They might not be that
Doesn't mean
interpersonal charismatic finder.
Yeah, they might be shy. Some people are extremely shy. I know that for a fact.
Some people are like, I don't want to talk to clients all day. I just want to get work done and review it. I mean, that's really good for a production manager, just because they're not charismatic.
Yeah. But there's a lot of little tips. We probably started the discussion by tips, but another one is watch out for job hoppers. You can pretty much sort that out from the CV and why they keep changing jobs. And, reference checking is just so important. And, not that it's like their mates or their peers. It's got to be someone who's had the authority or power to hire and fire them. There's all these little traps, right? That if you don't ask the right questions, it's like a classic, particularly for a firm owner. You just want people to be truthful. Do you want to run your own business? I love that question. I remember years ago, when I'm going back 20 years now, but I went to a massive firm, and the partner asked me, he said, Jamie, do you want to run your own business? I just looked and I said, yeah, that's my absolute dream.
And he still hired you.
Well, what happened is I didn't get the job, right? I think I was
Okay.
scared of it. But what happened was, in the end, their senior person in the computer department, MYOB, right, he resigned. So they rang me up, and I was the only candidate that fitted. So they had to give me the job.
But they just don't know how much of an important rule that was, because today...
That's just the journey,
Yeah.
But, any firm, including Sky Accountants, when you sit down and say to people, where do they want to be and what do they want to do? Sometimes people say to you, they want equity. They want it, and so you should have a career path for that. So you should have an answer for everything, because that's the way the world is. Yeah.
Yeah. If there's a vacuum, people just fill it up with whatever is convenient for them. And that might not necessarily result in a win-win situation between everyone.
Policies and procedures, and for almost every question that, you get thrown at. That's the beauty of Wize, because when you work on your business, you end up having a policy for literally everything. And that's why years ago I started working with Ed, because Ed seemed to have an answer for everything. And like the answer that was, the right answer, because he'd been there and done it.
And always a lot simpler than you were expecting. Like, oh, okay, I was overthinking it.
We need this little black book of Ed that we always talk about, but he's got so many sayings, and that's what we
Ed and Jamie's. Look, conversation around hiring today, it's multifaceted. In fact, there are probably 1,000 different facets to it. And Dani, you've been so great to be able to contribute and share your insights into what makes a great hiring process and what you look for in a candidate. But, tell us about WizeTalent and, how that can help firms build up their team.
Yeah, thanks, Thomas. So with WizeTalent, we have like a 44-step hiring process that we would take our clients through. So we're covering everything from job description right through to job offer letter and contract, and everything in between. We've also got like an applicant tracking system. So this is a great way for us to keep track of everyone who's coming through and where they're actually seated. Are they in the interview stage, reference check stage? With our interview guide, it goes for about an hour. So it's a pretty full-on process and everything. And then after every interview that we do the scorecard and we debrief and see if this person should be proceeded to the next stage. And then my favorite one is our reference check stage. So this is where we use a system called XREF. So this is where we find out if someone has integrity issues. So unfortunately, we've had candidates in the past who have tried to be their own reference. So they've created an email address, tried to be their own reference, and then this system picks up on it. So it's a really good system. And then, of course, we have to test the candidate as well to make sure that they have the right skills. So we help you through the entire process.
It really is end to end, isn't it, Dani? Like, I constantly come back, and I really appreciate the fact that I've been able to come to WizeTalent even for administrative Division 6 staff, accounts Division 7 staff, even D2 marketing staff. In fact, all my greatest marketing staff have come from you. So thank you so much to WizeTalent, and I'm sure we have had happy customers plenty in Wize here today on WizeTalent. So feel free to reach out to Dani if you want to book a meeting with her to talk about your team and what you need to look for in building up your team.